The large alien ship appeared in Earth's sky on a Tuesday morning. It moved slowly toward the orbital station that humans had built just 5 years ago. Everyone on Earth could see it on their screens. It was silver and smooth like a giant teardrop in space. Captain Eliza Montgomery stood straight in her blue uniform. Her hands were steady, but her heart beat fast. After years of wondering if humans were alone in space, she would be the first to meet beings from another world. "Station ready for docking," said Lieutenant Greg Wells from his control panel. "The alien ship has matched our rotation." "Thank you, Lieutenant," Eliza said. She looked at the 7 crew members on the bridge. "Remember your training. We represent all of Earth today." The sound of metal touching metal rang through the station. Then came the hiss of air pressure balancing. The door to the docking area slid open. 3 figures stepped through. They did not look human. The tallest had blue skin that seemed to shimmer like water. It had 4 arms and a head with no hair. The second was short with rough brown skin like tree bark and large round eyes. The third looked almost like a floating cloud of purple gas inside a clear suit. "Welcome to Earth Orbital Station Unity," Eliza said. "I am Captain Eliza Montgomery of the Earth Defense Force." The blue being stepped forward. "I am Zixtar, representative of the Galactic Council." Its voice sounded musical, but came from a small device on its chest. "These are my associates, Kreth Moore and Fishplex. We come in peace and friendship." For the next 6 hours, the aliens and humans talked in the station's conference room. The aliens explained that they belonged to a group called the Galactic Council, which included 17 different species from across the Milky Way. They had been watching Earth for decades. "We only approach planets when they develop faster-than-light communication capability," Zixtar explained. "Your scientists achieved this 2 of your Earth years ago." "We have many questions," said Dr. Peter Collins, the science officer. "How many planets have life? How old is your civilization? Why choose now to visit us?" The alien called Kreth Moore, the one with bark-like skin, spoke through its translator. "The Council has existed for 10,000 of your years. We maintain peace among all spacefaring species. We have studied your history," Vishplex said, its gas form swirling inside its suit. "It is unusual." "In what way?" asked Eliza. "Your species has faced extinction many times," Zixtar said. "Yet you continue." Eliza nodded. "Humans are survivors. We've had wars, diseases, climate problems. But we always find a way forward." The 3 aliens looked at each other in a way that seemed odd to Eliza. "You had a nuclear war period," Kreth Moore said, "and a global pandemic that killed millions, and an environmental crisis. Yet your population continued to grow." "Yes," Dr. Collins said proudly. "We learned from each disaster. We became stronger." When Zixtar spoke again, its voice seemed different. "And you never considered accepting your end." The humans in the room looked confused. "Why would we?" Lieutenant Wells asked. "Life finds a way. That's what humans do." Zixtar touched a device on its wrist. Eliza noticed it was sending some kind of message. "Is something wrong?" she asked. "No," Zixtar said quickly. "We are simply impressed by your species' determination." Later, when the aliens returned to their ship for rest, Eliza met with her crew. "Did anyone else notice how strange they acted when we talked about surviving disasters?" she asked. "Yes," Dr. Collins said. "They seemed almost afraid." In his private chamber on the alien ship, Zixtar sent an urgent message to the Grand Council chambers. "First contact complete," he reported. "Initial suspicions confirmed. Humans have survived multiple extinction-level events. They showed no signs of having a collapse threshold. They do not know how to perish. I recommend immediate full assessment of potential threat level." Millions of light-years away, the Grand Council received his message, and for the first time in thousands of years, they felt afraid. 6 months passed since the aliens first arrived at Earth. The people of Earth were excited to learn they were not alone in the universe. Schools taught children about the 17 alien species that made up the Galactic Council. Scientists studied the small pieces of technology the aliens had shared. One morning, Captain Eliza Montgomery received an important message. The Galactic Council had invited Earth to send representatives to their headquarters. The United Earth government met for 3 days to decide who would go. "We need our best people," said President Laura Chen. "This is the most important trip in human history." They chose Ambassador Jack Powell to lead the mission. He was 60 years old with gray hair and kind eyes. He had helped make peace between fighting countries for 30 years. Dr. Sofia Rivera, a scientist who studied alien life, would go too. She was young and smart, with a quick mind and endless questions. Major Daniel Clark, a soldier with 20 years of experience, was picked to keep everyone safe. On the day of departure, hundreds of people gathered to watch. The alien ship that would take them was bigger than the first one. It shined in the sunlight as it hovered above the launch pad. "This is a great day for Earth," Ambassador Powell said to the crowd. "We go to meet our new friends and learn from them." The inside of the alien ship was amazing. The walls seemed to be alive, changing colors as they walked past. There were no sharp corners anywhere. Everything was smooth and curved. The rooms adjusted their temperature and light to make the humans comfortable. Zix-Tar showed them to their rooms. "The journey will take 12 Earth days," he said. "Please enjoy our hospitality." During the trip, the humans spent time learning about the council races. Dr. Rivera was most interested in their biology. "How do your species handle disease?" she asked Vishplex, the gas form alien. "Most council species rarely face widespread illness," Vishplex answered. "When serious disease appears, populations naturally decline." "But don't you fight it?" Dr. Rivera asked. "On Earth, we've beaten many deadly diseases through medicine and science." Again, the strange look passed between the aliens. Major Clark noticed these reactions more and more. Whenever the humans talked about surviving hard times, the aliens became quiet or changed the subject. "They're hiding something," he told Ambassador Powell in private. "Every time we mention how humans have overcome disasters, they get uncomfortable." "I've noticed it too," the ambassador said. "But we need to be careful. We don't want to seem suspicious or unfriendly. Let's keep watching and learning." On the 10th day of their journey, they saw the council headquarters through the ship's viewing window. It was enormous, a giant ring around 2 stars. Thousands of ships moved around it like bees around a hive. "The Central Council Station," Zix-Tar announced proudly, "home to the representatives of all 17 species. It has existed for 5,000 years, built by our combined knowledge." "It's beautiful," Dr. Rivera said. "How many people live there?" "About 3 million, Kreth Moore said. "The station can support many more, but most species prefer to maintain limited populations. Humans would probably fill it up," Major Clark joked. "We tend to grow where we can." The aliens didn't laugh. As they approached the station, Ambassador Powell felt both excited and nervous. Something about the aliens' behavior made him wonder what waited for them at the council chambers. In a private room of the ship, Zix-Tar sent another message. "Humans arriving at Central Station. Their conversations during transit confirm earlier observations. They speak openly about exceeding resource limitations, surviving multiple extinction filters, and population growth beyond sustainable levels. The Council must decide how to respond to a species without a collapse instinct." The human delegation prepared for arrival, unaware they were being studied like a potential threat to the galaxy's carefully maintained balance. The human delegation stepped off the ship onto the Council Station. The air smelled clean and had a hint of something sweet, like flowers. The gravity felt a bit lighter than Earth's, making them feel as if they could jump higher and move faster. "Please follow me," said Zix-Tar. "The Council is waiting." They walked through wide hallways filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Ambassador Powell couldn't even guess which part was their face. Many aliens stopped to stare at the humans as they passed. "I feel like I'm in a zoo," whispered Major Clark. "We are the first humans they've ever seen," Dr. Rivera reminded him. Of course they're curious. After walking for 20 minutes, they reached a massive round door. It slowly opened to reveal the council chamber. The room was shaped like a perfect circle with seats rising up like in a sports stadium. In each section sat different alien species, grouped together by kind. In the center was a round platform made of a material that looked like glass, but glowed softly from within. Zixtar led the humans to this platform. "Honored council members," Zixtar announced, his voice now louder through some unseen technology. "I present the representatives of planet Earth. Ambassador Jack Powell, Dr. Sophia Rivera, and Major Daniel Clark." A tall, thin alien with silver skin stood from the highest seat. "Welcome, humans. I am Grand Counselor Vexilier. For 10,000 years, our council has maintained peace and balance in this galaxy. Today marks the beginning of our relationship with your species." Ambassador Powell stepped forward. "On behalf of all humans, I thank you for this welcome. We come in friendship and hope to learn from your wisdom." The Grand Counselor nodded. "Please tell us about your world and people." For the next hour, Ambassador Powell spoke about Earth's history, cultures, and achievements. The council members listened carefully, sometimes making notes on devices that looked like thin sheets of light. Then Dr. Rivera took her turn. She explained human biology, medicine, and science. When she reached the part about human history of survival, the chamber grew very quiet. "Our species has faced many challenges," she said proudly. "Ice ages, volcanic winters, plagues that killed millions, 2 world wars, nuclear threats, climate change, and resource depletion. Each time, we adapted and grew stronger." A murmur spread through the chamber. Aliens turned to each other, speaking in low voices. "How many humans live on Earth now?" asked a small green alien with 4 eyes. "About 9 billion, Dr. Rivera answered. The murmur grew louder. Major Clark noticed some aliens making gestures that looked like signs of alarm or distress. The alien called Kreth Moore stood up. "You mentioned plagues. The last one killed millions, yet your population continued to grow." "Yes," said Dr. Rivera. "We developed vaccines and treatments. We changed how we lived for a while. But we overcome it." "And your nuclear war period?" asked another alien. "Your entire planet was poisoned with radiation." "It was a limited exchange," Major Clark explained. "Terrible, yes. About 30 million died. But most of Earth remained habitable. And we learned from that mistake." The Grand Counselor raised a hand, and the chamber fell silent. "Fascinating. Council historian Kreth Moore has requested detailed information about human history. Would you be willing to share this knowledge?" Ambassador Powell nodded. "Of course. We have brought records of our history to share with you." "Excellent," said the Grand Counselor. "We will study these records with great interest. For now, you must be tired from your journey. You will be shown to your quarters. Tomorrow, you may explore the station and meet with individual council representatives." As they left the chamber, Ambassador Powell felt proud of how the meeting had gone, but Major Clark wasn't so sure. "Did you notice?" he said quietly. "When you talked about our survival, they seemed scared." "Not scared," Dr. Rivera corrected. "More like shocked, as if we told them something impossible." In the council chamber, after the humans left, an emergency session began. The Grand Counselor's voice was grave as he addressed the 17 species. "We must decide quickly what to do about the humans. They have no collapse threshold. This has never happened before." The next day, the humans were given permission to explore parts of the council station. Dr. Rivera was most excited to visit the council archives, a vast library containing the knowledge of all 17 species. "This is an incredible opportunity," she told her companions at breakfast. "I want to learn everything I can about their biology and history." Ambassador Powell agreed. Knowledge exchange is why we're here. Major Clark, will you join us? Major Clark shook his head. I want to observe the security systems and meet some of their military people. We should split up to learn more. A guide named Leary, a small bird-like alien with bright purple feathers, led Dr. Rivera to the archives. The room was enormous, with glowing data terminals stretching as far as she could see. You may access basic information about Council species and history, Leary explained. Some areas are restricted to Council members only. For hours, Dr. Rivera read about the different alien species, their home planets, and biology. All 17 species had evolved in different ways, but they shared surprising similarities in their development patterns. While searching for information about population growth rates, she noticed something odd. Every species showed a clear pattern. They grew to a certain point, then their numbers leveled off or declined slightly. Leary, why do all these species stop growing at almost the same point in their development? She asked. The alien blinked her large eyes. It is the natural way. All intelligent species reach their collapse threshold when resources become strained. Collapse threshold? Dr. Rivera asked. What's that? Leary seemed uncomfortable. I'm not sure I should discuss this. Perhaps you could ask the Council directly. Dr. Rivera nodded but made a mental note of the term. When Leary left to help another visitor, she quickly searched for collapse threshold in the database. The search returned a message, access restricted. Council authorization required. Dr. Rivera frowned. She was good with computers back on Earth. She tried different search terms and found a way into an unlocked section of the database through a cross-reference. What she discovered made her heart beat faster. She downloaded the information to her tablet and hurried to find Ambassador Powell. She found him in a meeting with representatives from 3 different worlds. "Excuse me," she said, "but I need to speak with the ambassador urgently." Once they were alone, she showed him what she had found. According to their records, every known intelligent species has something called a critical collapse threshold. It's like a built-in limit, she explained. When a species faces serious threats like resource depletion, climate change, or large-scale war, they reach a point where they stop fighting to survive. They give up. Ambassador Powell asked, confused. Not exactly. Their birth rates drop dramatically. They accept their decline as natural. The records say it's an evolutionary mechanism that prevents species from fighting too hard for resources and destroying their planets completely. Ambassador Powell looked shocked. And humans don't have this. No. The records show that most species survived at most 2 extinction-level events before reaching their threshold. She paused. Humans have survived dozens, and we keep growing. Just then, Major Clark found them. His face was serious. "We need to talk," he said. "I think we're being watched, and I overheard something troubling. There's a group called the Preservers who think we're dangerous. Because we don't have this collapse threshold," Dr. Rivera said. Major Clark nodded. "From what I gather, they're afraid of what we represent, a species that doesn't know when to stop." Ambassador Powell looked out the window at the beautiful station with its thousands of aliens living in perfect balance. "They invited us here to study us," he said slowly, "to decide if we're a threat." "And what do you think they'll decide?" asked Dr. Rivera. Before he could answer, a message appeared on their communication devices. The Council requested their presence for an unscheduled session. "I think we're about to find out," said Major Clark. As they walked toward the Council chamber, Ambassador Powell felt a growing sense of unease. The future of humanity might depend on what happened next. As they walked to the Council chamber, Major Clark pulled Ambassador Powell and Dr. Rivera into a quiet side hallway. "We need a plan," he said in a low voice. "I don't trust this sudden meeting." "We should be honest," Ambassador Powell said. "We came in peace." "But they might not see us that way," Dr. Rivera pointed out. "If they think we're dangerous just because we survived things that killed other species, Major Clark looked around to make sure no one was listening. "I've been watching their security patterns. There are more guards than yesterday, and I saw ships arriving at the military dock. You think they might try to stop us from leaving?" Ambassador Powell asked, his face serious. "I don't know, but we should be ready for anything." They continued to the council chamber. This time, only about half of the seats were filled. The Grand Counselor was there, along with Zix Tar and Kreth Moore. "Thank you for coming," the Grand Counselor said. "We have been discussing your species with great interest." Something about his tone made Ambassador Powell nervous. "We're happy to answer any questions you have. We wonder if you might be willing to meet with a respected elder of our council," the Grand Counselor said. "Elder Trenlack has studied many developing species and wishes to speak with you privately." Major Clark tensed, but Ambassador Powell nodded. "We would be honored." They were led to a smaller room. Inside waited one of the oldest aliens they had seen. Trenlack looked somewhat like a turtle standing on two legs, with a shell-like back and ancient eyes. His skin was wrinkled and pale. "Please sit," he said in a voice that sounded like dry leaves blowing across stone. When they were seated, Trenlack studied them for a long moment. "I have lived for 300 of your years," he said finally. "In that time, I have seen 12 species join our council, but I have never seen a species like yours." "What makes us so different?" Dr. Rivera asked. "You know the answer now," Trenlack said. "You discovered it in our archives. You have no collapse threshold." Ambassador Powell leaned forward. "Why does that frighten your people so much?" Trenlack sighed, a strange whistling sound. "Because it is dangerous. Every species in the galaxy reaches a point where they accept their natural limits. It prevents the destruction of worlds. It maintains balance." "But we've learned to live within our means," Ambassador Powell argued. "We've made mistakes, yes, but we've fixed many of them." "For now," Trenlack said. "But what happens when Earth can no longer support your growing numbers? What happens when 9 billion become 15 billion, then 30 billion? You will spread to other worlds. You will take what you need to survive, because that is your nature." "You think we're a threat," Major Clark said flatly. "Some do." Trenlack's ancient eyes seemed sad. "The Council did not invite you here to welcome Earth as a member. They invited you to assess whether humans should be managed." "Managed," Dr. Rivera repeated. "What does that mean?" "There is a group called the Preservers," Trenlack explained. "They believe species without natural limits must be controlled for the good of all. They have proposed restrictions on human reproduction and expansion." "That's outrageous," Major Clark said, standing up. "You have no right." Ambassador Powell raised a hand to quiet him. "Elder Trenlack, why are you telling us this?" "Because I am old enough to remember when my own species faced extinction," the ancient alien said. "Before we joined the Council, we chose to accept our decline, as all species do. But sometimes I wonder, what might we have become if we had fought harder? What wonders might we have created?" He stood slowly. "The Council will vote tomorrow on how to deal with humanity. I suggest you prepare your best arguments for why your unique nature is not a threat." As Trenlack left, the three humans looked at each other. "They're afraid of us," Dr. Rivera said in disbelief. "And fear makes people do terrible things," Major Clark added. Ambassador Powell stood up, his face determined. "Then we need to show them they have nothing to fear. We need to prove that humanity's refusal to perish isn't a threat to the galaxy. It's a gift." The three humans stayed up late into the night, planning what to say to the Council. Ambassador Powell practiced his speech, while Dr. Rivera gathered facts about human innovation, and Major Clark kept watch by the door. "We need to show them that our survival instinct leads to creativity, not just consumption," Dr. Rivera said. Ambassador Powell nodded. "The key is to make them see that our refusal to give up has led to our greatest achievements." "Will they listen?" Major Clark asked. "Or have they already decided against us?" "We have to try," Ambassador Powell said. The future of Earth depends on it. The next morning, they entered the council chamber. This time, all seats were filled. Every member of all 17 species had come to hear about the humans. The Grand Counselor stood. Today we discuss the status of humans within our galactic community. The question before us is whether Earth should be granted membership, placed under supervision, or, he paused, contained for the greater good. Murmurs filled the chamber. Ambassador Powell felt cold at the word contained. It sounded too much like imprisoned. We will hear arguments from all sides. The Grand Counselor continued. First, the preservers will present their concerns. A tall, thin alien with skin like polished metal stepped forward. I am Valdor of the Preservation Council. Our role is to maintain balance in the galaxy. Humans represent an unprecedented threat to this balance. He showed images of Earth's history, wars, pollution, species extinction. These creatures have no natural limits. They face disaster, and instead of accepting their fate, they fight against it, often causing more damage. Their population continues to grow despite clear resource limits. Other preservers spoke, each warning about the danger humans posed. They suggested Earth should be isolated, prevented from developing space travel beyond their solar system. Some even hinted that human reproduction should be controlled. Major Clark's face grew dark with anger, but Ambassador Powell placed a calming hand on his arm. Then it was their turn to speak. Ambassador Powell stepped to the center of the chamber. Honored council members, he began. I understand your fears. You look at humans and see a species that doesn't know when to stop. But what you call a flaw, we see as our greatest strength. He paused, looking around at the alien faces. Yes, we fight against extinction. Yes, we refuse to perish when challenged. But this isn't because we want to consume everything in our path. It's because we believe life is precious and worth preserving. Ambassador Powell showed images of his own: human medical advances, environmental restoration projects, peace treaties. Our refusal to accept death has driven us to create medicines that save millions of lives. Our determination to survive climate change led to clean energy that preserves our world rather than destroying it. Our recovery from wars taught us to value peace. Dr. Rivera stepped forward next. The data shows that human population growth is already slowing naturally. We don't need outside control. What we need is the chance to share our unique perspective with the galaxy. As she presented facts about human innovation, Major Clark noticed some council members nodding. Others still looked doubtful. The debate continued for hours. Different council species argued for and against Earth. Some saw potential in human creativity and determination. Others feared what humans might become if left unchecked. During a break in the proceedings, Major Clark slipped away. He had noticed something odd in the security patterns and wanted to investigate. What he found made his blood run cold. Hidden in a restricted communication channel, he discovered plans from a radical faction of preservers. They proposed a terrible solution: sterilizing Earth's surface for the greater galactic good, eliminating the human threat permanently. He rushed back to tell Ambassador Powell and Dr. Rivera. We're out of time for debate, he said urgently. There's a faction planning to attack Earth. But the council hasn't voted yet, Dr. Rivera said, shocked. They're not waiting for a vote, Major Clark explained. They see us as too dangerous to let live. Ambassador Powell's face grew pale. We need to warn Earth. But how? We're millions of light years away. Before they could form a plan, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Emergency protocol activated, said a calm voice over the speakers. Stellar anomaly detected. All personnel prepare for impact. Council members rushed back into the chamber in panic. The Grand Counselor called for order as screens around the room showed a terrifying sight. A nearby star had suddenly brightened to many times its normal size. "An unexpected supernova," gasped Kreth Moore. "The star Lux Varia is collapsing." "How is this possible?" someone shouted. That star was stable. It should have lasted another million years. The Grand Counselor raised his hands. We have emergency protocols. All ships prepare for evacuation. The station's shields will activate to block the initial radiation wave. Dr. Rivera studied the data scrolling across the screens. The radiation will hit us in less than 3 hours, she said to her companions. And from these readings, the shield won't be enough. Major Clark watched the aliens rushing around. Despite their advanced technology, they seemed unprepared. They don't face disasters often enough to know how to handle them, he realized. Ambassador Powell made a quick decision. We need to help, he said. This is our chance to show them what humans do best. He stepped forward and raised his voice. Grand Counselor, we have experience with radiation protection. May we offer assistance? The Grand Counselor looked surprised but nodded. Any help is welcome. For the next hour, the humans worked with Council engineers. Dr. Rivera showed them how to strengthen their shields based on Earth's experience with nuclear containment. We need to layer the protection, she explained. One shield isn't enough. We need to create multiple barriers of different materials. Major Clark organized an evacuation plan, drawing on his military training. The youngest and oldest should go first, he said, and we need to move some ships to the far side of the station for extra protection. Many council members were surprised by the humans' calm under pressure. They were used to careful planning over years, not quick thinking in a crisis. Ambassador Powell worked directly with the Grand Counselor. On Earth, we've survived many sudden disasters by working together and adapting quickly, he explained. That's the benefit of our stubborn nature. As the radiation wave approached, the improvements to the shields were complete. The most vulnerable had been evacuated. The rest gathered in the central core of the station, the most protected area. Impact in 5 minutes, announced a calm voice over the speakers. The Grand Counselor turned to Ambassador Powell. If your improvements fail, they won't, Powell said firmly. But if they do, we'll find another way. That's what humans do. The wave hit with tremendous force. The station shook. Lights flickered. For a terrifying moment, it seemed the shields might fail. Then the readings stabilized. The improved shields were holding. First wave contained, reported a technician. But the main wave will arrive in 20 minutes, and it's 10 times stronger. Panic began to spread again. But Major Clark had been studying the station's systems. We can use the station's own power generators to create a counterfield, he suggested. It will mean shutting down all non-essential systems and redirecting power. That has never been attempted, said one of the alien engineers. It might cause the generators to explode. It might, agreed Dr. Rivera. But if we don't try, everyone here will die for certain. The Grand Counselor made his decision. Do it. They worked frantically to rewire the station's power systems. As the main radiation wave approached, Dr. Rivera calibrated the generators while Major Clark directed the power flow. Ambassador Powell helped evacuate the areas that would lose life support. When the main wave hit, the station groaned like a living thing in pain. Alarms blared as systems overloaded. 3 generators burned out, but the rest held. After 10 minutes of terrible suspense, the wave passed. The station was damaged but intact. Thousands of lives had been saved. In the command center, the Grand Counselor looked at the 3 humans with new understanding. You knew what to do, he said slowly. You did not panic or accept death. You fought against impossible odds and won. Ambassador Powell nodded. That's the gift of not knowing how to perish. We never stop looking for solutions, even when the situation seems hopeless. For the first time, the Grand Counselor did something that looked like a smile. Perhaps, he said, we have misjudged what your species brings to our galaxy. 3 days after the supernova, the Council station was mostly repaired. Cleanup crews worked to fix damaged sections. The emergency was over, but everything had changed. The humans found themselves treated differently. Aliens who had once avoided them now stopped to thank them. Some even asked questions about how humans handle disasters on Earth. "It's like they're seeing us for the first time," Dr. Rivera said as they walked to the council chamber for the final vote on Earth's status. Ambassador Powell smiled. "Now they understand that refusing to give up isn't just stubbornness. It's how we've survived." "And how we helped them survive," added Major Clark. As they entered the council chamber, they were surprised to see all 17 species present again. The mood was very different from before. There was no fear in the air, only a new kind of respect. The Grand Counselor called the session to order. "Before the emergency, we were debating whether humans should be contained as a potential threat. That debate is now closed." He looked directly at the human delegation. "No species that risks its own safety to save others can be considered a threat to this council." A wave of agreement moved through the chamber. Even some of the preservers nodded. "We have learned an important lesson," the Grand Counselor continued. "For thousands of years, the council races have lived in careful balance. We rarely faced true threats to our existence. When disaster struck, we followed our protocols, but they were not enough." He gestured to the humans. "These visitors, who we feared because they don't know how to perish, saved countless lives because of that very trait. They faced death and refused to accept it, not just for themselves but for all of us." Kreth Moore stepped forward. "I have studied human history more deeply now. Yes, they have caused damage to their world. Yes, they have fought terrible wars. But they have also shown remarkable ability to learn from these mistakes. They rebuild. They improve. They grow not just in numbers, but in wisdom." The Grand Counselor nodded. "Therefore, I propose a new classification for Earth, threshold-exempt species with advisory status. This would grant humans membership in the Council with a special responsibility." "What kind of responsibility?" asked Ambassador Powell. "To serve as the Council's emergency response experts," said the Grand Counselor. "To help prepare other species for disasters they have never faced. To teach us how to survive when survival seems impossible." The vote was taken. All 17 species agreed, even the preservers. Earth would join the Council not as a threat to be contained, but as a valuable ally. In a formal ceremony, Ambassador Powell signed the treaty on behalf of Earth. The agreement would allow humans to travel and trade with all Council worlds. In return, Earth would share its knowledge of disaster management and help create new emergency protocols for the entire galaxy. As they prepared to return home with the good news, Elder Trenlack came to say goodbye. "You have changed the Council forever," the ancient alien told them. "For 10,000 years, we believed that accepting limits was the highest wisdom. Now we see there can be wisdom in refusing to accept the end. Not all human traits are worth copying," Ambassador Powell said honestly. "We can be reckless and destructive, but we hope our determination to survive can help others." Trenlack nodded. "That is why you are perfect as advisors. The galaxy needs both approaches, our caution and your courage." As their ship left the Council station to begin the journey home, the 3 humans stood at the viewing window. Behind them lay new friends and allies. Ahead lay Earth, which would soon join a community of worlds beyond their imagination. "It's funny," said Dr. Rivera. "They thought our refusal to perish was strange and dangerous. Now they see it's our greatest gift to the galaxy," said Major Clark. Ambassador Powell smiled as he watched the stars. "Because when disaster strikes, the universe needs people who simply don't know how to give up." Their ship accelerated to faster than light speed, carrying home the message that humanity's stubborn refusal to perish had finally found its purpose among the stars.